Greetings, night owls and thrill seekers. Welcome to a realm where the everyday becomes extraordinary, where your mundane scrolling transforms into a spine-chilling adventure. Tonight, we're not just browsing through comments or upvoting posts. We're peeling back the veil of reality to glimpse the unsettling unknown. Prepare to question every shadow, every creak, as we plunge into 3 bone-chilling narratives ripped straight from the depths of Reddit. Hold on tight, for we're about to unravel the unnerving tales behind 3 scary Reddit stories.
Story 1. Shadow at the Glass Door. At 47, I've never outgrown my fear of the dark, a fact I'm not particularly proud of. When night falls and I'm alone, the familiar comforts of my home morph into a stage for my most primal fears. I lead an ordinary life with my husband and our 10-year-old daughter, residing in a cozy, single-level house nestled at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. Our home doesn't boast a basement or garage, just a simple, comforting structure. The close proximity of our neighbors usually instills a sense of safety in me. However, one chilling incident last month shattered that illusion. My husband and daughter had embarked on an overnight Cub Scout camping trip, leaving me to fend for myself due to work commitments. They departed at 5 p.m., leaving me eagerly anticipating an evening of reality TV indulgence and savoring a succulent steak dinner in solitude. I nestled comfortably into the cushions of the couch, savoring the peace and quiet. As the clock struck 6:30, a swift shadow dashed past my front room window. I dismissed it as a harmless anomaly, perhaps a bird or fluttering branch caught in the evening breeze. But then, barely 2 minutes later, the fleeting shadow darted past again. This time, I couldn't brush it off. Pausing my show, I rose to investigate, peering cautiously through the window. Nothing. As I turned to retreat, a scratching sound resonated from the front door. It was unusual. We have stray cats and raccoons in the neighborhood, but they never scratched at the door. An uneasy feeling began to creep over me. Deciding to take no chances, I made a quick round of the house, ensuring all doors were securely locked. As I moved from the back of the house toward the front, a figure caught my peripheral vision. A man stood at my glass sliding door, his face impassive as he stared directly at me. Time seemed to slow as he slowly raised his arm and waved, his actions eerily calm. Terror gripped me, my heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. I sprinted to the front room, snatching my phone to dial 911. As I relayed the situation to the dispatcher, I heard him attempting to pry open the sliding glass door. The sound of him banging against the barrier echoed through the house like a death toll, amplifying my fear. The dispatcher urged me to remain calm as help was on the way, but how could I stay calm when a potential killer was trying to break into my sanctuary? I rushed to the kitchen, seizing the largest knife I could find, my makeshift weapon trembling in my grip. I couldn't risk running to my car. He would see me and catch me. He then sauntered over to the kitchen window, tapping lightly on the glass. His chilling words, uttered with a malicious grin, will haunt me forever. I will always remember where you live. As the sirens wailed in the distance, he fled the scene. He hadn't bothered to wear a mask, giving me a clear view of his face and attire. I relayed every detail I could remember to the police. Despite their efforts, he remains at large. Since that terrifying night, my husband and I have changed all the locks. But the terror lingers. Every noise in the night jolts me awake, my dreams plagued by visions of him breaking in and watching me sleep. I am considering therapy to help cope with the trauma. The memory of his chilling smile and haunting words serves as a grim reminder. Even in the safety of our homes, we're never truly alone. Story 2. The Unlocked Basement Door. It was a typical Friday night when I was 13. My parents decided to enjoy a date night, leaving me, an only child, alone at home. We lived in a quiet, one-story house with a daylight basement that had its own entrance. Our house sat at the end of a dead-end street, neighbors close by, making me feel safe, even when alone. Around 6 p.m., my parents left for their dinner reservation. I had a hot pizza delivered and was ready for a movie marathon. I got comfortable on the couch under my warm, fuzzy blanket, excited for a night alone. I locked the door behind my parents, turned on the TV, and scrolled through the movies on my Roku app. Choosing a Halloween movie, I settled in for the night. An hour into my solitary movie night, I heard noises from the basement. It sounded like something moving around. I brushed it off as nothing, assuming it was just the house settling. However, after another 5 minutes, the noises returned. A sense of unease began to creep in. I paused the movie and listened intently, my heart pounding in my chest. The question of whether the basement door was locked gnawed at me. I hoped my parents had locked it before leaving. Gathering my courage, I walked to the basement door and pressed my ear against it. To my horror, I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. Fear gripped me. I had been home alone before, but never at night. Instead of calling the police, I bolted outside and ran to my neighbor's house. Breathless and terrified, I managed to explain my situation, and they promptly called 911. The police arrived within 10 minutes, and I called my parents to inform them about the situation. While the police searched our house, I stayed with my neighbors. After some time, an officer informed us that although they didn't find anyone, the intruder had entered through the unlocked basement door. Nothing was taken, and everything was in its place. My parents returned home, understandably upset and scared. The police advised us to keep all doors and windows locked at all times. They believed that the intruder had probably seen my parents leave and assumed the house was empty. My mother, regretful, admitted that she might have forgotten to lock the basement door, assuming our quiet neighborhood was safe. Since that night, we've made sure to keep every door and window locked. My parents still leave me alone sometimes, but inform our neighbors just in case. Now 16, I'm still unnerved by the memory of that night. I frequently remind myself and others to stay safe and always lock their doors, because you never know who might be lurking around. Story 3: The Unseen Tenant. When I was 20, my best friend and I had the opportunity to live rent-free in his grandparents' house while they were away visiting their other property for 6 months. We were thrilled at the prospect of having this large, old house to ourselves. The house itself was quite old and exuded a somewhat creepy vibe, especially at night. The grandparents, who had been together for over 50 years, had separate bedrooms. The grandmother's room was downstairs, and the grandfather's room was upstairs on the opposite corner of the house. I chose the grandmother's room, located at the end of a long, eerie hallway. The room was adorned with dolls, and I quickly noticed that the doorknob creaked when turned, a detail that would soon become significant. For the first few days, everything was normal. We ensured all the doors were locked before going to bed and didn't notice anything unusual. However, one summer night, as I lay on my stomach, trying to sleep in the heat, I heard the distinct sound of the doorknob being turned. I brushed it off, attributing it to the old house settling. But then, I heard footsteps echoing down the hallway, followed by loud noises from the kitchen. I called my friend, who sounded like he had just woken up from a deep sleep. I told him someone was in the house. We both cautiously ventured out of our rooms to check, but found nothing. Despite finding no evidence of an intruder, I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. I decided to move to the second bed in my friend's room upstairs. After settling down, I insisted we check the house again. This time, we discovered the door to the grandmother's room was shut and locked, and the back door was wide open. Yet, nothing was out of place or touched in the grandmother's room. The door had to be pushed hard to shut due to the carpet touching the bottom of it. For the rest of our stay, I slept with a high-speed fan on, even during cold nights, just to drown out any sounds. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was amiss. Years later, I saw a movie about people living secretly in others' homes, and I wondered if that could have been the case. Perhaps someone knew the grandparents were away and decided to squat there. Or maybe it was something supernatural. To this day, I can't come up with a logical explanation for those events.